She is beautiful, hardworking, and intelligent. Not because she hit the highest pinnacle in the academics, but because she knew her purpose from day one. Her name is Fauza Beltz, a woman made of steel.
Hi, my name is Fauza Beltz, and I'm the author of Rising from the Dust, A Woman's Journey to Self-Discovery. Rising from the Dust is a personal life journey. Growing up, I lost my own identity in the community that I was growing, especially at the age of 18 and 19, when we are all teenagers and we are trying to fit in the community and the society that we're living in. Later on, I realized that it doesn't matter where you come from, how your upbringing was. The question that I asked myself is, what am I doing now with the life that I have at the moment? And that is when I began to open up all those cabinets and started cleaning up so that I can move on with the life that God has blessed me with. Writing this book was a pure labor of love. I had moments where I felt giving up, crying. It was emotional because I was going back to the childhood memories that I didn't want to talk about it. But for the story to be perfect, those cabinets needed to be opened. My prayer for you is, if you know anyone who is struggling, disempowered, disencouraged, that you, when you get to read a copy of this book, that you will also find your own power to be who God has created you to be. I would encourage you to get a copy so that you too can find your own power, because I believe it's through sharing our stories and learn from other people that we too will learn to be strong.
From the look on her face, you may get the wrong perception. But truth be told, she has seen and walked on burning coal.
Have you ever felt abandoned, disempowered, rejected? Have you ever felt like crawling through the dust? Hi, my name is Fauza Beltz, and I'm the author of Rising from the Dust, A Woman's Journey to Self-Discovery. Rising from the Dust is a personal journey. Growing up as a little girl, I grew up in different homes, in a very strict environment, and it was tough. At an early age, I had to take care of myself, cook, go fetch water, bring firewood, and do all the house chores. To me, I didn't know anything better because that's all what I had, and that's what I knew at that time. I went to a normal primary school. Academically, I was not the best, and this is because when you're growing up in an environment where you're not loved, you're not supported, you're not encouraged, you lose yourself. I stayed with my paternal grandmother until I finished my primary school, and that's when I moved from Kwale to Nairobi to stay with my stepmom and my stepsisters. Living with my stepmom and my stepsisters, I'm very grateful that I had a place to call home, even though the word home was not a home for me. When you're always reminded that you shouldn't be living here. Why are you here? This is not your home. That can have a lot of impact in someone's emotion, physically, but even mentally. At that time, that's when I met my friend, Bernice. I remember sharing my struggles with her, And she always reminded me that it's okay. One day, things will be fine. For me, Bernice had a huge impact in my life because I could even go to her and borrow sanitary towels and she would give it to me because I didn't have one. And for me, I will always be grateful.
Hi, my name is Bernice, and Fauza Beltz is my friend. We met when we were little kids over 15 years ago. Her stepmother used to be my neighbor back in Nairobi, where we used to live. She would come over during the school holidays to Nairobi, and over time we became friends, and she started opening up to me. She told me about her upbringing, and of course I was touched. I could not understand how people's life can be different. And I remember this one time when she started borrowing sanitary towels from me. I remember telling my mom to buy for her, and I was concerned why she could not buy her herself, but I would say it's maybe because of her family issues, but that was really tough on her.
When you open up and share with other people, you will be encouraged, and that will make you feel like you are not alone. My teenage years were full of anger, anxiety, and fear, and this is because I lost my own identity. I finished my high school. I was lucky. I joined college. My life in college was very inspiring. I still remember what my lecturer used to tell us that life is not only about the academics, but it's more about what we do with the life after the college. And to me, that was a wake-up call. I was very lucky enough after that I started working as a waitress. Working as a waitress was very interesting. However, sometimes people can actually label you because of the job that you do. I remember very well that when I got my first job, I didn't even have 500 Kenyan shilling to afford to buy my own uniform for work. So I had to borrow the money from my best friend, Bernice.
After she finished her college, I would say she's a lucky person because she got a job almost immediately. I was so happy that she got the job because at that point she had a lot of issues, family issues, that she had to move from the place that she was living with her family member to her own place.
She understood me, she accepted me, and she loved me for who I am. And for me, that was very, very special. I was very introvert. I didn't like to talk about myself to anyone, but I felt like Bernice would understand me. And my friendship with her has brought in a lot of love that I didn't even had. My work was okay. Waking up, working on shifts was a juggle, but I needed to do it to take care of myself. And for me, I had always made a promise to myself that I just don't want to let life happen to me. I wanted to be in charge because I believe that my purpose here on earth is bigger than the challenges that I have been facing. I went back to college and I continued with studying as I was working. Later on, when I met my husband, my baby daddy, my life turned from worse to even crazy. I was called a prostitute. I was given all sorts of labels from the people who should actually support and embrace me.
When she got her current husband, of course, she told me. As a good friend, I was concerned about her. I did not want her to be hurt emotionally as she had been hurt before. So I remember asking her if she's sure of her feelings. As Fauza had confided in me about her upbringing, I did not like the fact that she did not receive a lot of support, a lot of personal support from her family. I honestly told her to follow her heart. And at that point, her now current husband was very supportive of her, and he was ready to support her in every way she needed.
It was a taboo for me to go out with a man who we don't share the same culture. And for me, that was very difficult. I realized that human beings, we can create division and we start labeling one another because of our differences. We separate each other. Maybe you are going through the same. Maybe someone has given you a name. Maybe you've been labeled like I have been. I just wanted to remind you that it doesn't matter. The question that you should ask yourself is, who do you call yourself? And above all, what does God say about you? That is the most important relationship that you can have for yourself. I got married. God has blessed us with one child. And I decided that because I didn't grow up with my own mother, I wanted to be the mother to my child that I have never had for my own. And I chose to stay at home for a couple of years to raise my son. We moved from Kenya to Dubai when my husband got his job. Despite the fact that I was struggling academically, finished my high school with a D, it didn't actually matter that much. What mattered was, what can I do now with the resources and the knowledge that I have for myself to move on with my life path and with my career. And that's when I went back to college to do interior design. Along the journey, I had an opportunity. There was an opportunity that came up, and I decided to take the leap of faith and feature my story in a book with other 16 women in Australia, New Zealand, and in United Arab Emirates. It's after sharing my story in this book, a new world opened up to me. I started traveling to speak of why I chose to be a part of the book. It actually gave me the hunger because of the response that I got from different people. They wanted to know more. They wanted to know what has happened. And that's when I embarked again in the journey of writing my entire story. Rising from the dust is a personal story. Growing up, I lost my own identity in the community that I lived in. Later on, I realized that it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter what everyone has said about you. What matters is, what are you doing now? And how do you call yourself? My prayer and my wish for anyone is, it doesn't matter the journey that you are going through now. It doesn't matter the circumstances that you are facing at the moment. What you need to ask yourself is, what am I learning from all these tragedies, from all these traumas? Because I believe there is always a lesson that we need to learn in everything that we go through in life.
I think Fauza has come out a strong woman, and I am so proud of her, and I feel one of her greatest achievements is to come out of her past, to talk about it, and to even be able to write about it so that other people can learn from it. Many people go through her such experiences, yet they are not able to open up. It is very encouraging and impressing to me that she came out of it and she could talk about it. And I believe she has become a much better person since she started talking about her life. And I believe she's healing. She's an inspiration to me as her friend. And I believe she's an inspiration to so many people out there who go through a lot of issues like her life. And her book tells more about her journey. And as she continues to write, she's currently on her second book. I would encourage people to continue following her and learning about her life journeys.
My question is to you as a viewer who you are listening or viewing at this moment is, no matter where you are, whatever situations you are facing at the moment, what are you doing with all these experiences that you are gaining? Are you gonna let life just happen to you? Or will you put yourself together and move on with the life that God has actually purposely created you for? My hope and my prayer for you is that you will find your own courage, your own power to move on with grace and a little love for yourself, because I believe that each one of us has been created with a purpose. Now, rising from the dust for me, it was the end of my childhood journey, having accepted myself as a whole package. All the dots that were not connecting when I was growing up lost my own identity. I had so many questions. But then I realized when I was putting everything together, I've learned that life is a journey. And for us to get to where we want to be, we're gonna get a lot of hurdles. But what do we do with this process? Do we just sit back and let life happen to us? Or do we accept and love ourselves and move on? Your life can change in a week's time, a month, a year, 2 years, because of two things. One, the books that you read and the people that you associate yourself with. If I didn't decide or even make the decision to read, I wouldn't be the woman that I am today. It's amazing when you sit down with a good book, it can take you to different places, actually, different world. You could be in Nairobi, the United Arab Emirates, Mauritius, the Netherlands, France. I love what Oprah Winfrey says about reading, that it brings you to a higher ground. It takes you to a different level. And what Bill Gates says as well, it's not about what he has, but it's about the knowledge that he has acquired. I would encourage you to pick a book that you will resonate with, that it can actually inspire you in your own journey. I love reading biographies, inspirational books, business, anything that I feel it can move me from where I am to the next level. I'm gonna hold that book down. And I'm where I am today because of the choices that I've made in my life when I started reading. I'm gonna encourage you. If you haven't read Rising from the Dust, please do so. And if you know anyone else, pass the book to them, because I believe it's through sharing our stories and learn from other people that we learn to be strong as well. And reading is interesting. Choose what you can resonate with. And
she has achieved more than you can imagine. She has traveled all over the world to inspire the hopeless, and indeed, she has risen from the dust.
I would encourage you, if you know anyone who is struggling, you could give them a copy of this book, because I believe it's through learning we can teach, and it's through teaching we can learn.